This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and Forged Irish Style. Delighted as ever to be joined with Dave Coldwell. It's been a while since we caught up, mate, but how's things been?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Been busy in the gym. I'm just in the car park here. My boy's just warming up. He's going to be training in a bit. So yeah, managed to fit this in between.
Absolutely. I do appreciate him. I do appreciate the commitment in
It's
the
all right, mate.
car. As we said, it's a busy week, busy couple of weeks coming up for you. Ebanie Bridges out on the 9th of December. Obviously got a
Yeah,
few other stable out. We'll start on Ebanie. Looking forward to her return on the 9th of December.
yeah. It feels like it's been a while coming. Obviously, I don't know how long we've been working together now. We've been working for a few months now. It's always good to have a fight day. And to have something you're working towards. We've had a lot of time in the gym together now, so it's just a case of gelling, getting things together, and yeah, she's in a good spot. She's in a good spot. She really is. Looking forward to it. We go out next weekend, and next weekend we fly out. I think we're gonna do about 10 days in Vegas first. Finish off a sparring out there. Stephen Cairns is coming out with me as well, so he's going to get some sparring out in Vegas, and then we'll go over on fight week over to San Francisco.
Doing that, do you feel like the benefits of going out early for for a camp where you're like 2 weeks out, you go out to America, get adjusted to the sort of the climate, sort of sleeping schedules? Do you find that benefit as a coach, sort of taking your fighters out a little bit earlier to get used to it?
Yeah, I mean, I've had quite a few fighters and been involved in quite a few fights out in America now, so we've always kind of done that. Yeah, you want to get comfortable, I think that we fly from Vegas to San Francisco, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. So that's nothing. The connecting flight, that's nothing. But Vegas, she's been before, I've been before. There's a lot, in terms of gyms, there's a lot more for us, a lot more options for us out there rather than just going and spending 2 weeks in San Francisco. So like I said, we'll just head over there on fight week. Once the training is done, we'll literally, she'll have her last session on the Tuesday, and then we'll go over to San Fran then, really. But yeah, just to get used to everything, and to get comfortable over there. That's what we're going to be doing.
Definitely. For yourself and Ebony, been working together since sort of about summertime in the UK, working towards this date. How important is this fight for for her to really show that she's gelling in all the things you worked on in the gym and sort of getting her confidence back up after suffering a few injuries?
Yeah, it was a really bad hand injury. Right hand. Yeah, it was a really bad injury, but it's completely healed now. But obviously, when you've been out for such a long time, then it's kind of like, especially something that's not, she's not. I know she's world champion, but she's not overly experienced, is she? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely.
And so it's like first fight again. It's like starting all over again, really. And plus, there's been a big move in a personal life, moving up from London to Sheffield, where she's living now. Just the whole settling and everything. So, I mean, I'm glad in a way that she has had. I think because originally she was supposed to be fighting in something like 8 weeks, 8, 9 weeks, of her coming. That was the option, but it was too much. It was too much to move, to settle into, to Sheffield, settling in with a new coach, and then to fight all within 8 weeks. It was way too much. Not enough time, too much to do. So that's why she didn't fight. So, originally around that sort of time. But then it was just a case of getting a date that'll fit her in, because the thing is, these days in boxing it's kind of like you're in a queue system. You get your date. If you can't do that date, you've got to wait until there's another opportunity. And as it's worked out, she's on a massive event in Haney versus Prograis. It's a fantastic fight. So and also it's another box ticked for her. She wants to be on the big shows, and boxing in America, boxing over here. She wants to be in the big shows, and she's quite fortunate that she's getting this opportunity. So she wants to go out there and deliver a good performance. I wanted to go out there and not try too hard, and just to let things flow. What she's been working on in the gym, and ultimately get the knockout.
Absolutely. And we'll just move on from one part of your stable to another. Hopey Price, we did see him successful in Sheffield a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
Obviously, thankfully now everything with Conor Coghill is sort of seems like it's on
yeah,
the up, which is obviously a
yeah,
positive thing. Also, we did see on the weekend Nathaniel Collins put in a good
yeah,
performance, a win that Hopey is mandatory for. Is that a fight that you're definitely excited and looking at for potentially 2024?
yeah. Yeah, 2024 is going to be a great year. It's it's part of his development. It is these great domestic fights, and is mandatory for the British. I want to say, I'm absolutely gutted for Conor. He put up a fantastic fight, and I feel as though he kind of arrived on the domestic scene that night. And to have it take is, listen, first and foremost, he's all right. Thank God, he's fine. He just can't box. I believe he's going to go into coaching and things like that. So that's great. That's great to hear. But I'm gutted for him that he can't, chase his dream. But he got to experience a big fight on TV on a big show, and he put in a fantastic performance. So he's signing off, although it's premature, signing off on his own career, is a very good way to sign off as such, as good as it can be sort of in the circumstances. And so I just want to wish him luck going forward in his coaching career, and because he's a young kid, in a few years' time he's going to be one of these that are coming through that are, developing good talent and having a great career as a coach. Going back to Hope, coming off the back of that I picked Conor Coghill because he's a southpaw, and because Hope he'd not fought a southpaw since he was 16. I think the last person he got beat by was a southpaw. And I wanted him to face a southpaw in a real fight, not just a southpaw journeyman or international opponent that's going to, give a couple of problems for a couple of rounds and then just settle into a losing mode. I wanted someone that was hungry, going to test him. And 14-0 Conor Coghill certainly did that. And the problems that I wanted Hopey to face early doors, the southpaw stance, getting things, just getting comfortable and everything, he got. And my thing isn't about getting off to a great start and being in control, but then at the back end of the fight, shit starts going wrong. I haven't got a problem is if there's a few problems early doors, and you have to be patient, you have to use your brain, you have to do what we work on, and then you suss it, and in the second half of the fight you then pull away. And that's how I saw it with Hopi. I mean, I thought he won the first round. I thought he lost 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's what I'm talking about, and that's how because Hopi's not he's not a one punch knockout merchant, but it's hard enough, but he's not one punch knockout merchant. But he needs to be able to be comfortable in the longer rounds, in the mid to the end of the rounds. He needs to be able to start to stamp his authority on those sort of fights, and that's what he did.
Absolutely, definitely for sure. One thing I did want to touch on is you tweeted yesterday. It was 33 years to the day you stepped in the Ingle gym. For yourself now, you've been coaching at the top level. You've been at the top level of boxing. When you stepped in those doors and the journey that followed from that, how much do you feel like you grew and learned as a person to the person that you are today?
And do you know what? I still sometimes, I never take it for granted what I'm doing. I love what I do. I love everything I do in boxing, the training, the time that I spend with the fighters, coaching them, seeing the developments, some of the frustrations. It's all part of it. I love the managing and guiding, people's careers. I'm just so lucky. I think back to the kid that I was, and how my life used to be before I walked through those doors. And this is why I see there's a lot of kids out there that are struggling. A lot of kids, they've got no goals, no passions, no dreams. Then there's the kids that are, struggling at home, not getting with parents, stuff at school. I've experienced all that. And at the lowest of the low, I walked in through those doors, and genuinely I walked in there's 2 doors in the Ingles. I've walked
Yeah.
through the first, it took me a while, and then I walked through the second. I took about 3 steps in. I looked to my right, and it turns out he's a diamond of a fellow. He's a good friend of mine still to this day. Paul Stinger Mason was a pro back then, a super middleweight. I'd never been in a gym before. He's doing this squat with a barbell on his back. And when you're doing squats, you growl, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I just look and I just see him, this fella, fucking tank, growling at me. I shit myself and I just walked straight back out of the gym. I thought, fuck that, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a real battle of wills because I was just, I had no confidence, I had no belief, and I just thought, I can't do this. And I'm on my own. And probably 10, 15 minutes, I'm battling myself. And eventually I walk back in. Yeah. And walking back in, I genuinely, what I said in my tweet, genuinely, that changed my life. And it is the best, most important decision I've ever made in my life, because everything that I've got now, and I include my wife, my family, my kid, everything I've got now is all because I made that decision. Because the way that I was, I remember when Brendan first introduced me to somebody to do an interview, and they come, and it was like a radio interview, so there's no cameras, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Put me, and I just started sweating, and I was that kind of person, and I used to like follow people like Johnny Nelson and Paul Silky Jones and Clifton Mitchell around in the gym, and when they speak to you, I've been trying to think about what I'm going to say so I didn't seem as though I was an idiot, and so they'd like me, and I was so like lacking in confidence. And then over the years and spending time in the gym and just what boxing did for me, to any kid that's out there, honestly, you don't have to have a fight. You don't even have to think about it. I never thought about it as having a fight. I started boxing because I thought, right, I'm gonna one by one, I'm gonna get old bullies back, and I just wanted to get some confidence. But I never even imagined about having a fight. I never imagined about having a career in boxing. I just did it because I wanted to get some confidence, and it led to everything else. So, you know, I'd always back boxing. You know, these MPs and people, I look at what's happening with kids in this country. You know, I'm here at this Batley Sports and Leisure Centre. It's a great facility. You know, the football, there's tennis, there's everything here. Fucking council are closing it down because of money. And it's like, these are the things that they're doing all the way around the country. These local councils are closing down facilities for kids. And, you know, listen, boxing is one of the cheapest things that people can do, you know, and the needs, you know, people like in governments and stuff, the kids doing knife crime that leads on to gun crime, to all this sort of stuff. You've got to let kids have more access to boxing, you know. Maybe you don't have to have them be, if you don't want your kid getting punched in the face, don't have them punched in the face. Body sparring gives you that same sort of courage, same sort of confidence and enjoyment, and then that camaraderie in the gym and amongst each other. You know, get boxing in schools. Half of the stuff that you do in schools, it's not going to be relevant when they leave school. The way the world's going, half of the stuff, all they do is the same shit every year. And they don't teach you about finance. They don't teach you about managing issues and problems and your money and keeping out of debt. They don't teach you about debt. They don't teach you about none of that. You just stick to what they want to do. The same old bullshit that has no effect and no preparation for when you leave school. You've got time to be able to stick into curriculum some boxing, and that will do the discipline. It'll do the confidence, and that. I'm quite, you know, looking at my life 33 years ago to what it is now. That's boxing. And so if it did that for me, there's so many more people that are more confident than me anyway now. It'll do the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. And with you mentioning that there, and you think about the experiences, how much, you know, the Ingle gym and Brendan had an influence on your life. How much do you feel like he's done for the city of Sheffield, where, you know, it's not just you, you know, so many other guys, and you talk about sort of the way.
There's thousands. Listen, as you get older, you appreciate the people of your past a lot more. I fell out with Brendan years ago. Listen, he wasn't perfect, and there's things that, same as me. Everybody falls out with everybody. When you spend time with people that much, and then as they start developing, start growing, sometimes you can fall out with people just through difference or opinions and things like that, and you become your own man, and you don't agree with certain things. things can happen. But as you're getting older and you start seeing the world a bit different, you start seeing how you develop people different, and then you start aligning things. It's like, right, okay. And I look at what Brendan did. Even in the time you saw, you hear about a handful of the people he dealt with coming into that gym.
Yeah.
You're talking about thousands and thousands of people that walked through them doors that never boxed, but their lives improved because of what he did, because of the time that he spent in the gym, and because of boxing, the lives improved. He used to have us doing shit like, which at the time we were like, fucking hell, what we're doing this for? It's cleaning the streets, weeding, walking, and you just on the main road, people all going to Meadowhall and things like that, and you're there scrubbing or knelt down weeding and shit like that. People beeping, they're not, and you thinking, fucking hell, I hope nobody sees me, right?
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing, but he was keeping the streets clean. And it's like, then you look at a majority of streets now, and it's a shithole everywhere that you go. Shithole. You go in town centres, shitholes. Because you don't see it as what he's doing, but he's teaching you discipline. He's teaching you discipline and having pride in appearance, pride in your environment. He used to say, if everybody just looked after the front of their property, their house, weeded, cleaned it, made sure there's no litter. If everybody did that, all the streets would be clean. But people don't do that, And like I said, that's not boxing. That's not even boxing. That's just development. And the amount of people that are being out of prison, coming to the gym, you turn their lives around and things. It's not just Brendan. I've seen, obviously, as I've gone along, as I've got older, I've seen countless thousands of coaches up and out the country and amateurs, thousands of them. They all do, and they all do it in their own way, guiding these kids and trying to influence these kids to do something better rather than getting into trouble. They're trying to save kids' lives, and they're all doing it for subs and for free, and there's a lot of good coaches. But more importantly, there's a lot of more of good people. And like I said, boxing doesn't get enough help from the powers that be, the people that have got the finances to be able to allocate money here, there, and everywhere. They'll do it for all bullshit, but they won't do it for something that's genuinely, it's a fact. It's genuinely. I took my little boy to a gym for the first time to box, have a boxing session for his first time last week. We walked in, there was 40 kids in there. There's 40 kids in there. And I'm just looking there. There's 40 kids in here, all young kids. I'm thinking, all these kids are in here, not bumming about on the streets. The longer that they can stay in here as they're developing and they get through that development phase of their life, start hitting teens, the longer that they're in there, the less chance that they're going to be one of these people that go around and stab some fucker that you keep hearing on news and stuff like that. I heard on news yesterday. I was in the car with my little boy. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. 2 12-year-olds got done for stabbing a 19-year-old. 2 12-year-olds. That's my boy's age. And it's like I said, the more opportunities that people can, like these local councils should set up and fund, allocate, help, whatever it may be, for a boxing gym and stuff like that in the communities, then you're going to get a percent. I'm not saying it's going to save the world. I'm not saying it's going to save every kid, but it's the percentages become more in your favor. Every potential dickhead with a knife that's spending his time in a gym is one less victim out of there. Outside the gym. And that's what they've got to look at. But they're not asked because all these people that make decisions, they probably don't live in areas where there's somebody walking around with a machete stuck down the trousers.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, isn't it? I feel like what you're saying there. That's the thing. It's the divide is like from the top level, from what you're saying there, to the working classes. It's people that they don't understand reality. You know what I mean?
No, but you see that in every decision they make. But this is something where it's quite. You're not asking for billions or millions to be put towards it. It doesn't need to be that. It doesn't mean to be that. There's, like I said, just start with it in schools. People jump on brigade and say, "Oh, it'll create bullies," and this is no, it doesn't, because the majority of kids that box don't go around the streets and start banging everybody up because they don't need to. They don't need to, because they do that in training. They're learning the discipline in the gym. They leave it in the gym, you know, and you see it countless times how these people change. You know, kids that have gone off at rails, but boxing saved them. And every kid that ends up in jail costs us taxpayers' money. You know, everybody that's in jail, they're not eating for free. They're not being housed for free. Guards aren't doing the job for free. Everything comes out of taxpayers.
Yeah.
So surely it makes sense, and just start thinking about the future. All right, this generation and whatever we got real issues. We got to start reversing, but you don't reverse from here all the way back straight away. It's step by step, and I just think that obviously I'm in it, but I'm in it. I would have never have been a bad kid. I'm not that kind of. I would have been the kid that wouldn't have achieved anything in life. That's me, and so that's changed my life in that sense. But I train with so many people that would have been the other way.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's a very powerful message that a lot of people can definitely listen to, and especially when it comes to higher up. It's hard to sort of change subject off that, but obviously I did want to rattle through a couple subjects. Haven't yet caught up with you about 23rd of December, a massive date in Saudi Arabia. Anthony Joshua takes on Otto Wallin, and Deontay Wilder takes on Joseph Parker, among the list of many other big heavyweight fights, and just big fights in general. Excited to see this card, and shocked to see so many big faces on that table last Wednesday.
Yeah, do you know what? I've seen a lot of people criticizing it, and and saying, "Oh, it's not the fights that we want." No, it's not. But it's kind of like the next best thing. You've got them all on the same show, and it can lead to somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you've got to look at. You've got to take what you can get, and I think it's fantastic. It's great. It's a great. It's great. It's going to be a great spectacle. It's going to be a great event. But to see, Wilder, AJ, all these Bivol, all these fighters on the same bill, it's going to be great, And like I said, hopefully it then leads onto the fights that we want to see, that really want to see. But I ain't got a problem with any of those, There's some opportunities there for fighters that you'd think, oh, how's he got that? Listen. Oh, am I going to begrudge that 2 days before Christmas to feed the families?
Yeah.
If somebody comes along to you that has never boxed at that level and says, listen, you've got this opportunity, you're going to get paid this, and you're never going to, likelihood is you're never going to earn that again in your career. What are they going to do? Turn around and say, oh, no, I don't deserve that opportunity. Fuck that. They'll take it.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. Good on them. So, boxing's hard. It's very, very hard. So when you get an opportunity that perhaps you don't fully deserve, or perhaps is a bit out of the blue, a bit of a surprise, it's like, oh, really? Take it, grab it, and you never know what can happen.
One thing I did want to say, whilst sort of, I don't begrudge anyone there for taking the highest pay that they possibly can, especially when it comes to Saudi. Is there a worry where we look at boxing, especially at a domestic level, where we see people sort of holding out for potential Saudi money, and I'm going to wait, I'm not going to take this off because I'm going to wait for Saudi, and then this also means that big fights probably aren't going to happen domestically anymore. Is there a worry for that, do you think?
Yeah, that okay, I see that, but I look at Saudi like similar to Vegas. So remember, back in the day, it was like all the big fights happen in Vegas. All the big fights are in Vegas. Now, kind of think that when this settles down, they're looking to make a splash, aren't they? Right. Yeah. So they want to grab everything. This. But when it settles down, because I think they're in this long term. Yeah. When it settles down, I think they're going to pick the cream of the crop to go over there and put. I don't think they'll be interested in majority of domestic rivalries and stuff like that. I don't think so. I think it'll be on a world level, and the big names, big names that are probably past that domestic rivalry that they're looking at. So it'd only be like similar, perhaps a little bit worse, but similar to when Vegas was getting all the big fights. And it's like, back then it was like, well, if you want to get your world title shot, you're going to have to go over to America, because that's where all big fights are. That's where all big site fees are. So I think Saudi wants to be the new Vegas.
Yeah. But
everything else will still tick over here. And I do think, listen, if you're going to sit there and stall your career just on the hope that you're going to tick that box for Saudi, it's a bit of a risk. Maybe right now while they're making a splash, not. But when they get established, then things start. You know, it's like when a new promoter gets a contract, they start signing everybody. This,
of course.
and then it settles down, and then they're a little bit tighter because then they start thinking, right, okay, let's be a little bit more selective who we sign and be able to give dates to. So maybe it'll end up like that. I don't know.
Definitely. Touching on the topic of Anthony Joshua, this fight he's teaming up with Ben Davison. Apparently, been in claims of him being in the frame for sort of a past couple of fights. This being his third trainer in 4 fights. Is that sort of a decision of someone that doesn't really know what they're doing, don't really know what path they're on? Do you look at it as that with the sort of constant switching of trainers?
I think with AJ, it's not just a case about switching trainers. I feel as though I just feel I don't know the man, but just from seeing how he is and things that have gone on before, I feel as though he likes to get as many opinions as he can for anybody. Coming up to a fight, he'll be asking all sorts of people their opinion on what do you think of this fight? How do you think I should approach it? This. So it's a man that likes to gather as many different opinions for himself. Do I think it's a good thing chopping and changing trainers like that? I don't think so, because you keep having to get used to somebody else and somebody else's ways. And even if you went from a head coach to the assistant to that head coach, the assistant will have different ways.
Yeah.
He's assisting him, so he'll still. But in his own mind, if he gets his own fighter, he'll change a few things that the head coach does because he has his own opinions. So every coach is going to see things differently. Some may be similar, but still have some differences, and some may be like miles apart. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what me, promoters, journalists, anybody thinks about what AJ is doing, right? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, does he feel as though he needs to keep chopping and changing trainers?
Yeah.
If that's the case, let him do it. And he will either succeed or fail on his decisions. If you go back, fighters in America, they used to do it. I think Cotto's had a few trainers. I think De La Hoya had a few trainers. I think a lot of fighters in America did that. Some it worked, some it didn't. And again, that's the thing, and that's the risk that you're running is are you going to gel with them in that time? And now is that coach going to get the best out of you? Ultimately, I just think that AJ needs somebody that he can trust 100%, and he's comfortable with when shit's going wrong, not when it's going right.
Yeah.
When shit's going wrong. Does he trust that man that's looking in his eyes and telling him, listen, you can get through this if you do this? If he can trust that man fully, go out there, relax, and let it flow, then it's a good fit. But ultimately, you won't know that. He could go out there and blast Otto Walling and look $1 million, and everyone's raving, oh, what a great move, this. Yeah. And then he could fight the next fight, and he could just go to pieces. Poof. And that's it.
Yeah.
And when things start going wrong, you can't pull it back. Can you pull it back when it's going wrong? We don't know. And ultimately, that's AJ's decision. Yeah. That's what he's going to live and die by, and his career will flourish or it'll falter on those decisions. It's the same as anybody, But what I will say, Ben, the setup with Lee Wiley, everything. It's not like the numpties. You know what I mean? The good coaches, and then and they're having success. So does it? But this is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter if you have the world's best coach and the world's best fighter. If they can't gel together and mesh, and if you can't get the best out of each other, it doesn't matter. Which is why sometimes you have the best fighters in the world and you didn't know who that coach was. Or it might be his dad, or it might be some, a nondescript coach that all of a sudden it's like, fucking hell, who's he? And it's what can you get out of the fighter? Do you know what I mean? The fighter, ultimately, you can't, if the fighter's dog shit, don't listen, not willing to learn, you can't do anything with them.
Definitely, absolutely. Sticking on the topic of Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabian events, we did see the press conference for Tyson Fury with Oleksandr Usyk. February 17th is the date. What did you make of Fury's behaviour at the press conference? Seems to be very aggressive towards Usyk. People sort of coming out saying, "Oh, I've never seen Fury like this," which is a sort of a typical thing to say. But what did you really make
Really?
of it? Yeah,
But people said never seen him like this. I thought that's what he's like one day and then he's sound next day and then he's back to like. It's I don't see this. I don't get the surprise
yeah,
in never seen him like this. Well, we kind of have. He's always had that where if he wants to go at somebody and rip a new arsehole and fucking insult them with everything, it does. I find that's why he is what he is. That's why he's the personality that he is, and he's as big as what he is. Because if he was polite and quiet every fight, he wouldn't be the name that he
yeah,
is. You know. What do I think of it? It's not my cup of tea because it's like it's all the little personal insults. I think they're very schoolyard bully type
yeah,
thing. Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah,
how I
100%.
see it. But it's Fury. It's what he is. And then the next time I meet him, it might be dead charming and stuff like. It depends what
Yeah,
mood he's in. Depends what mood he's in. And also, he's there to sell a fight.
yeah,
So it is what it is. Listen, none of that shit makes a difference for Usyk.
yeah,
I've always said he will not get into Usyk's head.
yeah,
I'm not saying he can't beat him, but what I'm saying is the mind games will not work on Oleksandr Usyk.
yeah,
What might work is the fact that it don't work on Usyk might actually fuck his own head up, and
yeah.
that might be something that goes into fight.
And just breaking this fight down, when you look at Oleksandr Usyk's last performance against Daniel Dubois, people did have sort of a lot of criticism against it. People had a lot of criticisms of Tyson Fury's last performance against Francis Ngannou. Does this make for it's an interesting fight anyway? Does this make for a more interesting fight because we know that it's very very even
100%, 100%, because you don't know. Listen, the Ngannou thing. I think what people are underestimating is the power of surprise.
now? Yeah,
Surprise is a big thing. And Garner were looking at how slow he is, saying, I'm looking at him on pads. I'm thinking, fucking hell, Tyson's going to be able to do whatever he wants to do.
yeah,
He'll be able to watch this shit coming at him and it won't make it, and he'll just be parrying, slipping, sliding, playing with this guy, right? Comes to fight night, it was nothing like the pads.
yeah,
Surprise, motherfucker. That's it. It's a big, big surprise. And to try and then, it's when you take somebody so lightly, and then all of a sudden they're so much better than what you thought, or they're not what you thought they were going to be. Mentally, to be able to change that gear is very, very hard. People think it's easy. It's not. It's very, very hard. You saw it with Bentley, with Haney other night.
yeah,
When you think something's going to be one way, I just got to go out there and just blast this guy out, end it whenever I want. And it doesn't happen that way. It's like, fucking hell.
yeah,
And they're in that rhythm then. And then all of a sudden they're thinking,
yeah,
I've just got to keep this rhythm. And the other thing that I think with Ngannou as well, again, completely different to Usyk, is I've always said Fury's advantages, and the reason why he's achieved what he is because he's so big and so long.
yeah,
Yes, he's got the skills, but I genuinely think that if he was just a normal 6'3", 6'4" heavyweight, you probably wouldn't hurt him.
yeah,
I think fucking McDermott had definitely beaten him, and people like that on the way through, But it's the fact that he's so big, so long, and he can lean on you, he can do it. There is massive advantages. When he boxed Ngannou, I didn't know. Just watching it, I was like, the length of Ngannou's arms. As it turns out, he's got the same reach, right?
yeah,
And because he's got the same reach, Tyson wasn't confident throwing the shots and getting back out. So he was hesitant. He was second guessing himself because he knew that it was going to get clipped on the way back out.
yeah,
When he's in with guys that are shorter or got shorter reach, he's got that time and he's got that range that he can do what he wants, literally. Usyk's not got the same length arms as what Ngannou's got. And I will still say that Usyk, for me, ability-wise, he's got all the tools in the book to beat Fury. But it goes back to page one on this fight. Fury's going to have all the physical advantage again. Just that leaning all over him and shit like that, and tying him up, walking him back, just pulling down on him if Usyk gets close. And then Usyk's got to close the range, land his shots, get out of the range before he's getting clamped back. It's very, very tough. It's tough for Usyk. Yeah. But maybe the wear and tear's catching up on Fury. We don't know. That's why it's such a good fight, because you generally still don't know.
Absolutely, definitely. Dave, just wanted to say thank you for taking time to speak to me. Appreciate you fitting me in time with your son training in his car. Appreciate it, mate. It's been very, very enjoyable Zoom today, man. I appreciate the time.
Cheers, mate. Anytime.
Top man. Thank you, mate. Cheers.